Well, good evening and welcome to the 2019 John Carroll University Athletic Hall of Fame dinner. My name is Chris Wensler and I'm an assistant athletic director and a proud member of the class of 1990. Absolutely. I'll be serving as your master of ceremonies this evening as we honor both athletic contribution and excellence. This event continues to be an event that all of us in the athletic department look forward to each year. This is my 29th dinner that I've been a part of, and I continue to honor and enjoy what this event means to each and every person here in attendance. There's an additional boost to this year's dinner in that we are celebrating 100 years of athletics here at John Carroll University. Absolutely. This is our opportunity to reflect back on an amazing athletic history. And there is history throughout this room tonight. We have the first OAC Men's Tennis Player of the Year Award winner here tonight. The first NCAA Division III swimming champion in our school's history. And of course, we have the first OAC football champions in the NCAA Division III qualifiers here in the room tonight. And tonight is about looking back. It's about embracing the history that has been created by these outstanding individuals and teams. Remembering those who helped pave the way, remembering those who encouraged us and taught us. And why do we celebrate this history? It's the same reason we celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. We want to remember and honor the joy that we shared in that moment in time, the love that bonded us, the success that defined us. It gives us a chance to look back over the years since that event happened and reflect on how it has shaped us. In every case tonight, we are celebrating remarkable people who did remarkable things. For all of us here who bear witness to the induction of 6 student athletes, 1 coach/administrator, and 1 team. We celebrate their accomplishments and we honor their journey in getting here tonight. And as we honor this excellence, I would impart the following advice to our inductees. Truly appreciate this moment in your life. After all, how many more times will you truly be the center of attention? Or will you be praised so openly, or with so many people in attendance witnessing it? But never forget that this night is not simply about you and you alone. There are family and friends whose love and support prove to be invaluable to the success that we celebrate. And when we use terms like sacrifice and perseverance, adversity and disappointment, jubilation and validation, those terms are never used in a singular vein because these journeys have truly been shared. So it is with great pride that we salute not just those being honored this evening, we also salute all those who helped us get here. This occasion is a tribute to our athletic tradition and our athletic history. At this time, I want to welcome Senior Director of Varsity Athletics and Recreation at John Carroll University, Michelle Morgan, to say a few words to you tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tony DiCarlo Varsity Center. It is my honor to welcome you to campus as we enshrine the 2019 class of the John Carroll Athletic Hall of Fame. As Chris mentioned, it's a special time for our university and our athletic department as we are in the midst of unprecedented success across all of our programs. Last year, our Blue Streaks earned a school record 12 conference championships and finished 31st out of 443 institutions in Division III for overall athletic success in the Director's Cup. Our men's programs have earned the OAC All Sports Trophy 5 consecutive times, which ties the longest streak in conference history. This year also marks the 100th anniversary of intercollegiate athletics at John Carroll. For a century, our athletes have proudly competed for championships while wearing the blue and gold. The venues, the opponents, and the sports themselves have changed, but one thing remains constant. To be a champion at John Carroll means more than just winning. It means that when our student athletes graduate, they leave ready to compete in a world no matter what field they choose. Over the last century, our Blue Streaks have built incredible traditions and experienced legendary moments. Tonight, you'll hear the stories of some of the men and women responsible for those traditions and moments. Tonight, we welcome James, Jim, John, Mary, Michael, Ryan, and the 1989 football team into the company of other Blue Streak legends. You've displayed the character, drive, and passion necessary to take your individual game, team, and the people around you to the next level. As the current and future athletes compete for championships, they have all of you as role models. We are truly grateful for your hard work and your commitment in being a Blue Streak. Congratulations and welcome to the John Carroll Athletic Hall of Fame. At this time, I'd like to welcome Father Bernie to the stage, who will give tonight's invocation.
Let us pray. God our Father, we thank you at the outset for the gifted individuals and teams we honor tonight, for their love of the sport, their passion, their teamwork at Carroll, and the spirited lives they live out in communities near and far. For your glory is the glory of men and women fully alive. These illustrious athletes are emblematic of the 100 years of varsity athletics, which we celebrate this year. And your glory has shone and continues to shine on this campus. Bless the honorees, their families, their guests, their coaches, and their alma mater. Bless our conversations, and bless the food and wine which we are about to share. Through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Bon appetit.
Tonight's ceremony is being sponsored by our Blue Gold Club, the official booster organization of John Carroll Athletics. To officially welcome you this evening, as well as making a few special remarks, I now invite up the Blue Gold Club president, a Hall of Fame student from the class of 2003, Mr. Drew Poppleton.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Drew Poppleton. I'm the president of the Blue Gold Club and a proud member of the class of 2004 and 2006. I have to say, I am in awe of the accomplishments of tonight's inductees. Each of you played a critical role in the success of your respective programs, and you should be incredibly proud of the legacy you have left behind. As president of the Blue Gold Club, it is an honor to support events like this one. It is our mission to support, promote, and recognize varsity athletics at John Carroll University. And one of our most important goals is to foster that lifelong connection you have with our alma mater. I hope you'll consider joining the Blue Gold Club if you aren't already a member, as we work together to support our student athletes on their road to another record-breaking year. Thank you again for being here and for your contributions to the history of John Carroll Athletics. The Blue Gold Club is thrilled to welcome you to the Athletics Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
As we begin our induction ceremony, I asked it to take a moment, all of you, and reflect on what it is we are doing here tonight. What is the purpose of the Hall of Fame? It is to honor, to celebrate, and to remember. We are honoring achievement, the victories, the awards, what has been accomplished individually and collectively. The history they made was something beyond expectation, beyond ordinary. We are celebrating life. Sports at its essence is meant to be played for joy. Tonight, we celebrate that joy. Tonight, we remember what was beyond the scores. We remember the teammates and coaches, where lifelong bonds were formed within the arena of competition. We remember the good times and some of the not so good times, but we choose to remember these days as some of the best days of our lives. The Hall of Fame preserves all of this. Of all the athletes and coaches and administrators who have represented our school since John Carroll instituted an intercollegiate athletic program back in 1919, only 267 have been elected into the Hall of Fame. Tonight, we add 7 more. Of all the teams who have represented our school since John Carroll instituted an intercollegiate athletic program 100 years ago, only 12 have been elected into the Hall of Fame. Tonight, we will add one more. As the last point of emphasis, it is important to underscore how deserving our inductees are by briefly explaining the selection process. Each year, the Hall of Fame committee undertakes the task of electing a worthy induction class into the Hall of Fame. To be eligible for the Hall of Fame, a student athlete must have been 10 years removed from his or her graduation year, and the criteria includes impact on a program, honors and accolades, level of competition, leadership, and community involvement and citizenship. The committee, which consists of over 20 members, begins its assignment in January by compiling a list of candidates that have been assembled through online submissions, submissions by mail, and research done by the Sports Information Office. This year, more than 50 candidates were on the original first ballot of individuals. Through a series of meetings, the list of names was steadily reduced. The names are pared down to a final 20, at which time the final votes are cast. At these meetings, Hall of Fame teams are also voted upon, and what you're witness to this evening are the results of this exhausting yet worthwhile process. We now begin the inductions. Our first inductee, John DeSillo, gave 35 years of his life to John Carroll and its intercollegiate varsity sports program, and was the definitive man of John Carroll. In his time at John Carroll, he wore many hats. He was a football coach, a golf coach, an assistant athletic director, and a recruiting director. He was first an assistant coach with Jerry Schweikert's football team from 1972 until 1976, and then he became recruiting coordinator for the JCU athletic department when Tony DiCarlo became the athletic director from 1987 until 1998. He then began to assist both the women's and men's golf programs from 1999, when women's golf was first instituted, until his death in 2016. But the one job he always had, even if it wasn't in the official job description, was ambassador. If John DeSillo was the one you met when you first arrived on campus, chances were pretty good you would be attending John Carroll University. He was the greeter, the smiling face, the warm embrace when you first arrived and visited. And when you stayed, he would remember you. He would check in on you, and he'd make sure you were getting along okay. It is still hard to believe that he is not here, and yet we know he is. It is my profound honor to welcome up the DeSillo family to our stage as we welcome John DeSillo into the John Carroll University Athletic Hall of Fame.
I'm reminded of a friend who signed her Christmas cards, Team Evans. I'd like to introduce to you Team DeSillo now. First, John Jr. He graduated from Case Western Reserve, unfortunately, in class of 1988, but he was an engineer, so what can I say? And David, he was John Carroll University, class of 1988 also. Then Dawn Ferrante, JCU class of 1990 and graduate class of 1997. She graduated with Chris, right?
Yes, with Chris.
And Danny, JCU class of 1992. And I'm Bonnie, and I graduated the graduate class of 1989 here. I didn't go to undergraduate here. John would thank the JCU Blue and Gold Club if he were here for this honor, this incredible honor. But he would also be in awe of the amazing athletes that are sitting in this room tonight. He knew most of you personally. Even I knew the 1989 football team and members, and Joe Turry and many of the people that are being inducted tonight. So from John and our team DeSillo, congratulations to all of the inductees. And now my family has something to say.
Wow, guys, this is pretty impressive. I gotta say, once again, thanks to the Blue Gold group. I can honestly tell you that my dad knew a lot of you guys, most of the people here, more than likely. And in all honesty, he'd be very proud, but he'd also be very humble and very surprised by actually getting this reward. And I think that's a testament to the kind of person he was. He kind of worked in the background and didn't expect a lot in return. So this would be quite an honor. I'm sure he would be extremely proud, but at the same time, quite surprised about it. Not to diminish it, but I'm sure that would be how he felt. I'm going first, and I'm going to step out of the way because I'm in the minority in this group. But I think I'm going to turn it over to the other folks here to say a few more words for Dad.
Good evening. Sorry, can't see. We are thankful and honored and humbled to be here to accept this great honor on behalf of Dad. It is also an honor to be among such an impressive 2019 class of Hall of Fame inductees. Dad would love this night. He would love to be here with all of you. But as we reflected on what we should say and what he would say, we realized that he probably wouldn't want to do this up here. He was not much of a public speaker and did not really want the attention. But so it's fitting that we have to do his talking for him. He was much more of a behind-the-scenes kind of guy. He preferred to plan the activities, line up the people for half times, and stand on the sidelines. He was happy to be there and watch all of the JCU energy as it developed. Chatting up the peeps, that's what he liked to do.
I'll say a few words. Before I do, I want to say in preparing for tonight, there's a lot of ways we can go with this because he had quite a career. But as I pondered what to say and in thinking and in reflecting, during that careful reflection, a thought came to me, and the answer was, he loved his family so much, and I know that he cared very deeply, but I just want, in thinking about doing this next to my sister, I just want to state for the record, this is a fact. You, of all of us, were his favorite daughter.
So, Danny, you were also his youngest son.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
JBD, Dad was always a blue streak. It was through and through. He was always part of this university, and he truly believed in what this institution offered. He always understood the greatness of this Jesuit institution. He always understood the athlete, being an athlete and being a sports fan, and understood the greatness of what that could do for someone, both as a student and as a person long term. There was no more perfect role for anyone than Dad attracting people to John Carroll. So we're very proud to be here on his behalf.
So he worked really hard for this university for 35 years. He loved this place and he loved the job. He had quite an impact on many, so we figured we would do a little bit of math. He was a math guy, Mom's a math girl, I'm a math girl. We figured we'd do some math. So if you average about 900 people per class at JCU over 35 years, we're talking 31,500, just off the top of my head right like that.
And if I've heard once, I've heard 31,500 times that your dad, he was such a dude. He knew everybody. And today, I think being math people, we would say certainly not everybody. He's good, but he wasn't quite that good. But we would say probably 50%. So roughly in the 15,750 range is probably his number.
So 50%, not a statistical reliability, that has no basis on anything. So, I kind of like that. But bottom line is huge impact, right? He was a good guy, huge impact on this whole university.
Dad was lucky to have his dream job. He was the recruiting coordinator. He would work hard in this, and he'd often work hard when you wouldn't think, anyone would be doing it. Odd hours, odd days of the week, evening hours, meeting people, touring the campus, but he was passionate about it. He used to love the phrase, "Are you working hard or hardly working?" Well, he kind of used that as an icebreaker, but he also used it as sort of to elicit a smile, but he also sort of issued it as a challenge because he liked to make his job so fun and it never seemed like work.
And that was a pretty common theme for Dad. His job was to schmooze, to talk to people, to show them Carroll and showcase it's awesome. And watch sporting events. I mean, who doesn't want that job? I want that job. Recruiting for JCU meant the potential to add another person to our family. And when I say family, I mean the DeSillo family and the John Carroll family. They weren't separate. He was made for that job. The recruiting coordinator was his job. We all know he made it look like so much fun. Work was never work for him, and it was fun for him. He loved the work that went along into doing all of his roles at John Carroll. You may or may not know that it was very common for Dad to be here at weird times. He would be here on Sunday evenings or just odd hours of the night and day. And he would just be here to do the work so that maybe when you all showed up, he could just chat. And I think that that's part of what he wanted to do. It was fine that he spent the time there and he loved it. He never, ever left. He loved it here and he never left. So why did he never leave?
He never left here because he loved starting his days in and around the blue and gold room with his posse, and you all know who you are.
He loved planning halftime recognitions for all events, but especially the football games.
It allowed him to coach and play golf at the same time, kind of a nice combo there.
He loved hanging out and was very proud of the indoor training facility for the golf team called Camp DeSillo. Thank you very much, Mike Moran.
Some might say he liked keeping an eye on his kids and now, more recently, his grandkids. Not sure he did a very good job of that, but he did like to do that. So, thank you very much. We know that he didn't leave here. That at his core, we know the reason he never left here and the reason he was always here was because John Carroll, this small liberal arts Jesuit college that fostered long, strong, loving relationships between people, represented all the good that he held so close to his heart. It created his extended family. The family. Who was he to you? Coach D, JD, John D, Johnny D, Juan, Giovanni, Mr. D, the mayor, Dad, Unc, Cuz, Pops, and Gramps, among many others. No matter which endearing name you used for him, it's a fair bet that it came from a very special relationship you might have had with him. He probably threw in a nickname or two for you as well. The bonds that he made here were instant, and they were strong, and they lasted a lifetime. We were proud to watch it all happen.
I'm not as long-winded as my younger siblings. If you wore a blue streak uniform or you cheered on the blue and gold, thank you. Because you're the reason why John DeSillo did it and did it so well that everybody wanted his job. In an emotional tribute, Chris Wensler, Hall of Famer in his own right, called Dad a prince among blue streaks. Well, behind every prince, there's a princess who deserves credit. In this case, she attended every game, she tailgated with your parents, cheered for each one of you as if you were her own. She yelled at the refs because no blue streak has ever committed a foul. And in Coach Moran's top 10 tribute to Dad, it sparked a memory. Dad, many years ago, used to bring several celebrities to town to speak. One of them was Dick Vitale. Dad, Mom, and friends showed Dick Vitale all over the city that day, and Dickie V was so impressed that as part of his speech, he proclaimed that he knew what John DeSillo's secret was. In trademark fashion, he said, "Bonnie, you're solid gold, baby." Her Catholic humility won't let her take credit, but it's so fitting that she's here to accept this on his behalf tonight. So Mom, Dad says thanks.
Once again, we humbly accept this great honor on behalf of John. Congratulations to the 2019 Hall of Fame inductees, and sincere thanks to the committee and the Blue Gold Club. Go Streaks.
In the fast-paced world of the internet, text messaging, electronic mail, and social media, don't ever forget the power of a phone call. You have to wonder what would have happened if Ryan Summers and Kerry Volkman had not connected via the telephone back in 2004. For one, Ryan may have been a Hall of Fame wrestler for some other school. Thankfully for us, it happened here. Ryan was a two-time national qualifier and a two-time Division III All-American for the John Carroll Wrestling Program. His best finish was reaching the finals at 184 pounds in 2005. After an injury ended his junior season, at a time when he was ranked second in the nation in his weight class, Summers came back and finished 8th in the nation as a senior in 2007. He was a two-time conference champion and was undefeated in 20 career OAC matches. He surrendered just 6 points in 6 career OAC tournament matches. In the 2 seasons he was able to complete, he helped John Carroll finish 18th in the nation in 2005 and 37th in 2007. He departed the program with a career record with 67 victories. He was the co-outstanding wrestler of the year for John Carroll in 2005 and the team most valuable wrestler in 2007. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the John Carroll University Athletic Hall of Fame from the class of 2007, Ryan Summers.
I'm not much of a public speaker. I apologize in advance. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this great honor. I can congratulate the other Hall of Fame inductees this year. Just with the rich John Carroll tradition that's, academics, athletics. It's just an honor to be standing here today. I'd also like to thank the coaches that I've had. Coach Volkman, that phone call. I was finals week at my other college, and I just felt like there was a great connection between the two of us, and it meant a lot to me, and I'm forever in your debt. So I appreciate that very much. Just outstanding coaches all around. There's Jim Ayers, who is a phenomenal wrestler, better person. He trained with me my junior, senior year. Eric Erdzik, Ryan Heimbach, the list goes on. Great teammates, such as Mark Haywald, who's now leading the program. He's a phenomenal person as well. He kind of took me under his wing when I first got here. The first day we actually worked out, I don't think you ever noticed this, but he said, "Yeah, we'll meet for dinner." I was like, "Oh, okay." I fell asleep because I was so tired from his lifting regime that I woke up the next morning. I was like, "Oh, I feel like a terrible person," but a great person and the right guy for for the current position. Other teammates I can go on. There's a million of them. Relationships, best friends. Will O'Neill, Dan Ralph, they were at my wedding. Met them through the wrestling team, as many of us probably have. Best men, best friends. I met my wife here at John Carroll. She was a swimmer, and she kind of would meet me at the gym my senior year, and we'd go for a run. For her, but we'd go for a run, and that kind of helped me after my injury. I was kind of just rehabbing it, that sort of thing. But I'm grateful for her and her little kiddos and family. Growing up, like everybody else, when they were a little kid, had families and gyms and football fields and grandparents that would come to every game. Brothers. Thankful for my mom. Thankful for my dad. I almost quit when I transferred to John Carroll. I said I was done. I was going to come home. I'm done. He actually hung up the phone on me. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, all right, He didn't talk to me for a couple weeks, and I came home from spring break, and he's like, you should go to John Carroll. And I was like, okay, well, who is that? Like, what, looked up the university. Like I said, I talked to Coach Folkman, and it was fate for me he's here. So he passed away a few years ago, so thankful for him pushing me in the right direction and always being there for me. So, and thank you guys. So, yeah.
As is noted in your program, James Stewart played for 3 different coaches in 4 years here at John Carroll, and each one of them was smart enough to figure out that he was the best player and he should be at the top of the lineup. He would earn All-OAC first-team honors 4 times over the course of his career, and he'd win 106 matches, primarily playing as a #1 singles player, meaning he always faced the other team's best player. He won 56 times. As either a #1 or #2 doubles player, Stewart would win 50 matches. His crowning individual achievement came in 2009 when he was named the OAC Men's Tennis Player of the Year, the first in John Carroll history to do so. His crowning team achievement was when, as a freshman, he provided the clinching championship point in capturing the 2006 Ohio Athletic Conference men's tennis title. James is also an outstanding student, as he was named ESPN Academic All-American First Team as a senior, Academic All-OAC 3 times, and made the Dean's List all 8 semesters. In 2009, Stewart was selected as a John Carroll recipient of the Clyde A. Lamb Scholar Athlete Award, the highest honor awarded to a student athlete by the Ohio Athletic Conference. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the John Carroll University Athletic Hall of Fame, from the class of 2009, James Stewart.
Thank you all so much for having me and for the award. When I got the call about the award, I was a little surprised. I was sitting with my wife and my mother-in-law and my newborn son at the time, and I said, hey, I got this call that I'm being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I thought that was, I was deeply, deeply honored. I was surprised and deeply honored, and it's a real privilege to be here, so thank you again for this opportunity. After I got the call, I spent some time thinking about my time at John Carroll and with the team, and some of my fondest memories were playing tennis for John Carroll. I played each year. Probably the best memory was during my first year when we won the OAC title. There was just so much camaraderie, and it was just one of the most exciting times of my life. The university gave me a great foundation from which to build. I was able to play my favorite sport, but I also learned lessons of teamwork, time management, and leadership during my time at John Carroll, which I've carried with me to present day. I'm grateful to the coaches and teammates that inspired me and encouraged me during times that were good and during times that were tough. I want to thank my wife Ashley, my son Landon, and my parents for all their continued love and support. And again, thank you for allowing me to be here, and I hope I continue to represent John Carroll well. Thank you.
No one in the history of John Carroll men's swimming and diving has won more league titles than our next inductee. Out of a possible 28 league championship races, Jim Petkunas won 24 times. Adding up all his performances in 4 years, he was a 15-time OEC relay champion and a 9-time OEC individual champion. His domain was the butterfly, as he was the OEC champion at both the 100 and 200 distances all 4 years in which he competed. Jim was a member of 4 Ohio Athletic Conference champion teams during the first half of the 1990s. Jim was also part of a pair of relays that competed at the NCAA Division III championships in 1993. In his sophomore season, he was an honorable mention All-American in both the 200 medley relay and 400 medley relay at the NCAAs, both times finishing in the top 12. The 1994 OAC Swimmer of the Year, he won all 7 events in which he competed that year. And at the time he graduated, he had his name next to 5 school records, the 100 fly, the 200 fly, and as a member of the 200 free relay, 200 medley relay, and 400 medley relay. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the John Carroll University Athletic Hall of Fame, from the class of 1995, Jim Petkunas.
Thanks, Chris. I'd like to start by thanking the university and the athletic department for the induction into the Hall of Fame. It's really quite an honor. I'd also like to congratulate all the other inductees. It's a real privilege to be inducted along with all these impressive athletes. So thank you for that. After getting the call from Chris with the news, I started reminiscing about my John Carroll years. It was about 24 years ago now since I've graduated, and certain memories are a little more clearer than others. I started thinking through the history, and several memories did come to mind. When I first think about college, it's important to note how important swimming was and how big it was a part of my college years. When I started as a freshman, it gave me an immediate friend group and a social network. There was always something to do and someone to do that with outside the classroom. And I think from my experience from John Carroll, it was a great balance between academics and athletics and a great break from the classroom. So the second thing I remember is all the hard work in swimming. Hours upon hours in the pool, morning practices, afternoon practices. I have this very distinct memory of trying to balance morning practices and classes, and I was sitting and eating with Mark, the coach right now of the John Carroll team, and learned that they don't do morning practices anymore. So Mark, I wish I swam for you. So, as part of that, I remember as freshman year, I scheduled an 8 a.m. class, not knowing that, that was early. And, we would go to swim, we'd swim an hour before that, I'd go to class, and unfortunately my 8 a.m. class was an art history class. And the first thing they would do is they would turn off the lights and they start showing slides. So for me, having probably stayed up too late, gone swimming, and then attending class, I fell asleep. So hopefully none of my professors are here. But it was really tough for me, and for some reason I always sat next to the radiator, which was real nice and warm and cozy. So again, it was like bedtime for me. So a trick, and I'll tell my kids this, is I used to take a lollipop to class. So every time in art history I'd have a lollipop in my mouth. That seemed to help me stay awake. So with all the hard work, I also remember the success we had. Our teams being repeated OAC champions was a really great accomplishment. And as I look back now, it's something for us all to be proud of. But probably my most distinct memories are of my teammates. All the great moments we had both in the pool and outside the pool. My fellow swimmer and teammate Joe Turry is here, and he's getting inducted. It's real special to be going in with him. Obviously, we swam a lot together, and congratulations, Joe. I'm glad I got to go first, so I can congratulate you. Myself, Joe, a couple other swimmers, Rich Farkas and Eric Rapp, we made up a medley relay team that had a really good run for a few years. We ended up qualifying and attending Division III Nationals with that relay. And again, I should thank Joe because I don't know how many people know this about swimming, but in our relay, Joe always went before me. And he's obviously a Division III nationally ranked swimmer. We were always ahead. So my job became a little easier, so thanks, Joe, for that. So really the entire experience with these guys and my coach, Matt Lenhart, is really a special memory and really one of the high points of my swimming career. So, the exact times and I swam and where I finished isn't as clear to me, but the experience of going down with that team is very, very clear and a very distinct memory. So I wouldn't have these memories without the support of all the people in my life. So first I'd like to thank my parents, George and Rose. They're down here, and they came tonight. They decided to get me involved in swimming, I think around 7 years old. And as I thought about it and talked to my mom a little bit, I'm not exactly sure why they chose swimming for me. My parents they have a bunch of those old school videos of our family on 8mm. I don't know if the young people in the room won't know what that is, but hopefully some people do. So we would watch them from time to time. And there's this one clip of myself with I have two older sisters. We're at the pool on vacation. I was probably like 4 or 5, and apparently I was deathly afraid of water. I was clinging to my floaty and wouldn't jump in at all. So my mom tells me that's kind of how I started my swimming career. So it's a little embarrassing. Hopefully that footage stays trapped on 8mm and doesn't make it to social media, because it's kind of embarrassing. That's how I started. A Hall of Fame swimmer, I was afraid of water when I was 5. So, to my parents, the countless hours of driving to practice and attending meets, and if you're a swimmer, you have 2-day meets, you have prelims and finals, it's in the pools, are hot. It's not fun as a parent, I would assume. My sister was also a swimmer. She went to John Carroll as well. She swam for a few years, so I know my parents had double duty growing up with swimming. And I think as a kid, you don't realize your parents are investing that amount of time. Now I've got 3 kids. Who do all the sporting activities, and my wife and I are taxi cab drivers pretty much. And interestingly, none of them are swimmers. I failed on that front. They play different sports, but I know they like what they play. And they're all student athletes. So thank you, Mom and Dad. I'd like to thank my coach, Matt Lenhart. As I was looking to go to school and which colleges to go to, swimming wasn't kind of at the forefront for me. I came from a super intense high school program, and I was a little burned out. Wasn't overly excited about swimming, but that really changed once I joined the John Carroll team. Matt had a great philosophy, really helped get the best out of me as a swimmer, and really the entire environment that he created resulted in me having really my best years in my swimming career. So thank you, Matt Lenhart. I talked a little bit about my teammates earlier, but would like to thank them all. John Callahan's here today. Thank you, John. Swam with him for a few years. A big part of my success was the team, obviously, and we had a great group of men and women and really some great years. So lastly, I'd like to thank my family for being here tonight. My wife, Kelly, and daughters, Christina and Allie. My son, James, is playing football for Drexel Bees. I think they're winning, so that's good, but he's there tonight. And I did meet my wife, Kelly, at John Carroll, so John Carroll is just another way that my John Carroll experience had an impact on my life. So that's all I have. So thanks again.
As trailblazers go, Mary Volmer Orsler is a fairly significant one. Having a good sense of timing also helped. When Susie Brown turned her dream of bringing softball to reality here at John Carroll, it just so happened that Mary was looking to transfer from Indiana University. She found a home at John Carroll. When all was said and done, she would make history as the first team sport female athlete to be voted as a Conference Player of the Year in John Carroll history. That happened in 1987 when the President's Athletic Conference voted her as the Conference Pitcher of the Year. A 4-year letter winner and starter, Vollmer served as a team captain in 1987. She was part of the first 4-year class in the program's history and established several team records both as a hitter and a pitcher. Her single-season ERA in 1987 is still a school record. In her first 2 years with the Blue Streaks, she started 30 games in the outfield and compiled a career batting average of .398. Vollmer would earn first-team All-PAC in 1987. Additionally, she played 4 years of basketball here at John Carroll, appearing in 79 games, scoring 611 points and grabbing 504 rebounds. She was honorable mention All-PAC as a junior and was also a 2-time team captain in basketball. Vollmer lettered 8 times covering 2 sports. Although she could not attend our ceremony this evening, we still wish to welcome Mary Vollmer Osler from the class of 1987 into the John Carroll University Athletic Hall of Fame and accept on her behalf. Michael Lyons is exactly the kind of person you want on your team if your goal is winning. Because as we all know, winning is better than losing. Whether it was guarding the net or the third baseline, Michael Lyons was willing to do what it took not to let the ball go by him, even if that meant breaking an ankle. He was a 3-time all-conference goalkeeper for the men's soccer team, with his top honor being first team in 1994. During his time as a starter, John Carroll was a 3-time league regular season champion, as well as a 1993 OAC tournament champion, which was the first in program history. The Blue Streaks compiled a team record of 58, 13, and 3 during his 4 years. At the time he graduated, he was the winningest goalkeeper in program history. He collected 51 wins and was a spectacular 28, 4, and 3 in OAC games. He also recorded a school record 29 shutouts, and the thing he's most proud of is he never lost a game at home, going 25-0-2. In baseball, he appeared in 76 games and was a lifetime .283 hitter. He was also a great student athlete, academic All-OAC 4 times, twice in both soccer and baseball, Dean's List 5 times, and earned a total of 7 varsity letters. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the John Carroll University Athletic Hall of Fame, from the class of 1995, Michael Lyons.
How about let's give a hand for Chris Wensler. Is he everywhere? A week ago, I got an email from him Friday night. Saturday, he was in Pittsburgh photographing the John Carroll men's soccer team, and then he was tweeting out Saturday evening all kind of information about the sports program. John Carroll Athletics is here today. He even predates me. It's here where it is today, and all these awards and accolades, he's a big part of that. So thank you, Chris. I'd like to thank all the other inductees as well. Thank you for keeping your speeches short, because I'm going to fill the rest of that time. No, congratulations. It's incredible reading all the accolades that you guys have, and it's an honor to share the stage. And the 1989 football team. I think John Carroll football has gotten the short end of the stick until recently. I think the foundation you guys laid and the wins you have is why we have such a nationally recognized team today. So congratulations, guys. The journey does not, standing here, it's not by myself. Obviously, there's a lot of people, there's countless people to thank. I thank the committee, the Hall of Fame committee, for this incredible and tremendous honor. When I look back at my Carroll years, maybe with the exception of my family, I can't think of an institution or entity that changed my life more. Through the backdrop of a Jesuit foundation, I was challenged academically, grew spiritually in my faith, made lifelong friends, competed athletically at the highest of levels, and most importantly, gave me the opportunity to meet my wife and true companion, Anne Marie. We also were blessed with two beautiful boys, Tommy and Matt. Very proud of them. I'd like to also thank my in-laws. Unfortunately, they're not well enough to attend. And I'd like to thank my family. When you become a parent, you realize how blessed you are growing up. My mom, who had her own business, would take time out of the day and drive me everywhere. I don't know how she got her work done. There was one instance where she was picking me up from baseball practice in high school, 30 miles away. I don't even know how fast she was going to a soccer practice. She kept her composure even when the police pulled us over. She was fine until when the cop walked away, I said, "Hey Mom, am I gonna be late for practice?" My dad, the greatest coach I ever had. And that's saying a lot from the people that I have had the opportunity to play under. You were there for nearly every high school game and every college game. I was always a little unnerved until you showed up on the sidelines. And there was a time I debated whether to continue baseball. And I struggled an 0 for 4 Saturday game. And I came home, and Saturday morning, he's like, "You want to go hit baseballs?" And it was a field of dreams moment. It was just me, him, 9 in the morning. I am standing here because of him. So thank you, Dad. He also set up little backyard games in the backyard games. And my brother, probably I'll admit this now, he was the fiercest competitor I ever had. I just didn't want to lose to him. I didn't want to hear about it. Did Mom have to separate us? Yes, a lot. Was there blood? Yep, a lot of times. But he made me better. And my sister was not immune to that either. She would get caught in the games whether she wanted it or not. There was one instance where all she had to do was hit the ball past me. One time. I'm standing up here because of athletic prowess at the collegiate level. But I can tell you that afternoon, I made catches and plays that I've never made in my entire life. And I know she's scowling up here, but she did get to go in 30 minutes later. So how did I end up at Carroll? Mark Mazzalona. I had no idea where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. Coach, I walked in, he introduced himself. He said, "You're gonna wanna come to Carroll." He said, "I will take care of you like my own son." And I thought, man, this guy's laying it on pretty thick. He called me, never pressured me, always sold John Carroll. When I broke my ankle 10 games into my freshman year, he drove me to the hospital, brought the team to me to cheer me up, set up physical therapy, and when I got taken out a day early, he came and picked me up. That's the guy you want. That's why I came to John Carroll. Although, I said, I don't know if I want to play baseball or not. So he walked me over to Mr. John Carroll, Coach Schweikert. Coach Schweikert was awesome. I love playing baseball. I love being in on-deck circle and hearing his little nuggets, his little things that tell me, make me laugh, keep it light. I was very fortunate, and congratulations to Coach Schweikert, because this is a special year for JCU because we are celebrating his 100th year with the program. Donnie McPhillips, they drilled 3 screws into my leg. And, I had my doubts. He said, "You're gonna do it." And, when I walked in, it was always a smart aleck comment. Get your butt going. This isn't gonna work itself. Keep going. And I'm cleaning it up a little bit. And, Donnie, that one time we got stuck in the storm of the century at a dry town in North Carolina for 48 hours. I'm sorry we kept you up praying for all that time. So I was fortunate enough, I was heartbroken. Coach Mazzalona left. I felt like I lost a friend. But Coach Casamani came into our lives. And I was like, man, I don't know if this guy can play. So we had a scrimmage. We started separating, and he was on the other team. Who does that? Who plays college athletics as the coach? He came in, and I was going to stop him. First ball came across, 10 yards. He hit a side volley. I heard it go by my ear and went right in the net. I was like, okay, this guy can coach me. I've never had a guy that could clearly communicate and relate to his players like he did. And he would warm me up, and he would talk to me. Hey, what's your favorite folk music? What do you think of Middle Eastern oil policy? How do you motivate kids? I'm like, Kaz, I'm just trying to stop it here. I've never quite met a person like Ali Casamani. And I always coached later, I always thought in my head, WWKD, what would Kaz do? And I would be remiss if I didn't use this opportunity to talk about Coach Straub. Coach Straub had one of the more interesting introductions. He said, I'm your new assistant soccer coach, and I know nothing about soccer. But he was such a sincere and genuine person, and an incredible role model for us. The only time he ever lost it was when he slid 30 feet down a hill covered in mud, and he said some un-Jesuit words. To my teammates, I think it can be summed up when I called one of my former teammates and friends, Matt Sullivan. And I told him, and he was excited, and he said, congratulations, we made it. And that really was hard for me to hear without crying. I was very blessed to play on conference championship teams, all OAC players, all-time John Carroll assist players, all goal scoring, tremendous defensive players. They made me better every day on the field. As great as it was, there were even better people. I've never been on a team where you would ride down the bus with one teammate, eat with another one, sit at the game with another one, and ride home with a separate one. We were so close, we were tight-knit, we invested in each other, and that bond is still relevant today. Not only we talk about old games, but we talk about our families and our wives and how we're doing. The soccer program has just taken off since we have played. They were up to 4th nationally. Hector and Dayon have taken the program to unbelievable heights. And I hope the committee will still remember us old guys. I still have a friend, Pete Dugan, is the all-time John Carroll assist leader. Hopefully he can someday make it up here. He played offense. Defense never gets any credit. Offense gets the goals. So this is probably the only time that I'd like to also thank my defenders. Marty Gillespie, Matt Polino, Matt Sullivan, Dave Rischel, Trent Hurst, Michael Papp, Eric Chiprich, Brian Painter, Jeff Hunkley, Mike Papp, and Mike Zuckel. And there is, if I had the honor to have 51 wins and given up no goals, or not losing any home games, then if my good friend and amazing player Tommy Hahn has 58 wins and no home losses, I hope to share the podium someday with him up here. In closing, thank you again for making this evening so special for me and the other inductees. To be rewarded after you put your heart and soul into something like this is an indescribable feeling. Frankly, it hasn't sunk in yet. We all walk by those plaques coming in, and I remember being a freshman, looking at those plaques. And I remember looking for a soccer one, wondering, what's that like? Well, Tim O'Callahan, the godfather of the Carroll soccer program, I share a space on the wall with you. and I no longer have to wonder what that feeling is. I loved, cherished, and appreciated every time I put on a blue streak uniform and represented John Carroll University. And there's one last thing that I miss. After every win, Matt and Sullivan and I had a tradition. So Matt, I want one more hug as I walk off the stage. Get up here. Thank you, guys.
Joe Turry was at John Carroll for a relatively short time, but his impact was immeasurable. Case in point, his first trip to the National Swim Championships in 1992. He thinks it'll just be him and Matt Lenhart representing John Carroll. But by the time he arrived in Buffalo, he was greeted by most of his team, along with his parents and his future wife, Jen. How could he lose? Spoiler alert, he won. Joe was the 1992 and 1993 NCAA Division III national champion in the 100 breaststroke, and remains the only national champion in his sport at John Carroll at the time of this induction. He was also part of 2 honorable mention All-American relays in 1993, the 200 medley relay, which was 11th, and the 400 medley relay, which was 12th. In his 2 seasons with the Blue Streaks, he was an 11-time All-OAC swimmer and a 10-time OAC champion. And 4 of his titles were in individual events. The 100 breast in 1992, the 200 breast in 1992 and 1993, and the 200 IM in 1993. From a team perspective, Turry and the Blue Streaks won league crowns in 1992 and 1993 and finished 21st at the NCAA Division III National Championships in 1993. At the time he left, he held 6 school records: the 100 breast, the 200 breast, the 200 IM, and the 200 free relay, 200 medley relay, and 400 medley relay. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the John Carroll University Athletic Hall of Fame, Joe Turry.
Thank you. Thank you to John Carroll for my nomination and induction into the Hall of Fame. To my parents for the thousands of miles spent driving to the pool all year round, to the overnights in Red Roof Inns, to allowing our teams to destroy the inventory of a number of Pizza Huts, Cracker Barrels, and Duff's buffets like a swarm of locusts, and so much more. Thank you. Now that I'm a parent, I truly understand your sacrifice. Lenny, Matt Lenhart, our coach, unfortunately couldn't be here, but I've had some great coaches throughout my career, but none were as close in age as to when we first got together. I will never forget Nationals our first year. Just the 2 of us driving to Buffalo, only to have most of the team already there in support. Having you hand me my first title was incredible. Also, none referred to the early part of the season when Bert and I would get in before the rest of the team as fat man workouts. Well, you were right. I needed them. And they worked. Thank you. I never thought I could get that fast. I do, however, think Margaret is still a bit miffed and aggravated that the 5 of us changed the return flight from Atlanta and stood up Jimmy Donovan and the Channel 3 news team. Chris, I still get goosebumps when I think back to receiving your call asking if it would be okay. If it would be okay if you placed my name in for consideration into the Hall of Fame. It's an honor to be included with this group. As you constantly live to support others, please know that we are there with you. The time spent between your phone call and this evening has been incredibly powerful. I've examined my life since John Carroll, looked back and come to a conclusion. Yeah, I was pretty good in the pool. But I would not have appreciated this as much. It would not have made such an impact on me if I was inducted in the 90s. I'm truly humbled. Thank you for sending me on this 5-month journey of self-exploration, for helping me change my definition of success. Instead of looking back at mistakes made, promises unkept, I've been able to concentrate on accomplishments, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, to find the good in any situation. As a direct result of your efforts, I'm a better man, son, friend, father, and husband. I get to be inducted with my teammate, Jimmy P. In a way, even though it's just the two of us, it's like the whole team's getting inducted. I also get to be memorialized in the same class as John DeSillo, a man with the perfect balance between tough love and empathy, with the overarching goal of improving the lives of others. We lost a good friend and mentor in August of 2016, and if you never knew the man, which I can't imagine there's anybody in this room that doesn't know him. If you never knew the man, if you were just a bystander or someone driving past the funeral home that hot August afternoon, it was apparent that person had a major impact on thousands of lives. A testament to a life well lived. Don. He taught me more than you can imagine. Loyalty, perseverance, service to others, kindness. Even though I'm still working on the kindness part. I don't know if we can laugh about that DQ yet. I'm better for having known him and think some of my outlook on life was shaped during those summer meets, trying to sneak him on deck. Last, my girls. I love you all very much. Jen, thank you for always being there, the good, the bad, the horrible, the great, and everything in between. At least it's been more like the roller coaster than the merry-go-round. Alex and Danielle, I hope I've been able to pass along the best of what I've experienced from those mentioned here and many more that helped shape me throughout my life. As both of you proceed through college and out into the world, always remember, listen to mom and ignore me. All joking aside, I'm extraordinarily proud of both of you. I absolutely love being your dad, watching you grow into strong, smart, driven young women. And thank you to everyone else, family and friends, everybody here to support all of us. Congratulations to the other inductees, and thank you for such an honor.
When you think of putting together a team, think of these words from Henry Ford. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. The 1989 John Carroll football team was not put together by conventional means, but over time, the assemblage of individuals resulted in a Hall of Fame team. They came together in the beginning, built from the ashes of a 2-7 campaign in 1986 to produce a winning season in 1987. They kept together, working in the off-season to improve, to change the culture, and producing a 7-2 season in 1988. They worked together, starting with a memorable win in Buffalo and running through the new Ohio Athletic Conference rivals and setting up a de facto championship game with Mount Union. The team came together on November 4th, 1989, and delivered a win for the ages, a 31-7 trouncing of Mount Union that sealed the program's first championship of any kind in over a decade. It was a symbolic win in that John Carroll had moved from the President's Athletic Conference to the Ohio Athletic Conference to start the 1989-90 academic year. For head coach and athletic director Tony DiCarlo, winning the conference validated his belief that the OAC brought greater opportunity for NCAA postseason play. The 1989 team became the first team to win 9 games in the season, the first to win an OAC crown, and the first to appear in the NCAA Division III playoffs in school history. There are memorable games and memorable names associated with the 1989 football team. And now there's the memorable moment where this team earns its rightful place into the Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the John Carroll University Athletic Hall of Fame, the 1989 football team. We will first hear from Coach Kerry Volkman.
Good evening. Truth be told, I would rather be back in a locker room addressing you guys with a pregame or halftime message. That being said, it is great to be back on campus at my alma mater. I consider it a privilege to be able to share this evening with you. A sincere congrats to our most recent inductees, their families and friends. An amazing accolade. Cherish it. I want to personally acknowledge the induction of John DeSillo, a finer person I have yet to meet. Blessed to have shared a portion of my life with John as a colleague and a wonderful, wonderful friend. Fortunate as well to have coached tonight's wrestling inductee, Ryan Summers. Ryan, you deserve it. Congrats. When I have cause to reflect back on the team of 1989, I remember them as a team of destiny. Talented individuals who embraced a common goal and made it a reality together. As coaches, we too shared a similar vision together. We were fortunate to share an unforgettable season and a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The 1989 season was no mistake. Coach DiCarlo envisioned it. Joining hands with former President Mike Lavelle, Coach recruited players, hired coaches, changed our uniforms and helmets, changed our attitudes, changed our work ethics, tore a stadium down, and built another. Revamped our existing training facilities, which appropriately now carry Coach's name. Led us into a more competitive and acknowledged athletic conference. As aforementioned, the list goes on and on. You get the point. Coach D, when finally hired as the head football coach for John Carroll University, became a human tornado. Literally, when he set his mind to something, he stayed the course and he made it happen. Tough, opinionated guy to work for at times. If you had a different opinion, buckle up. Better have courage and a solid reason. However, in the end, he was probably going to get it done his way anyway. There was only one, Coach D. True enough, many of us here are here to honor the induction of the 1989 football team into the Hall of Fame. That being said, it would never have come to fruition without the direction, organization, insight, tutelage, passion, and patience of a dedicated and experienced coaching staff. Our coaches love the game of football. Our part-time coaches were certainly undercompensated for their contributions, but they stayed the course, and most importantly, they respected and loved their players. So please allow me to conclude my portion of this evening's agenda by introducing them to you. Tommy Curtis isn't in the house today. He's a former JCU great, was a graduate student at that time. Tom is the vice president of Lubrizol, and his responsibilities preclude him from being with us this evening. Chick Dulciata, give the shirt off his own back kind of guy. A constant supporter of JCU football during the DeCarlo era. I loved his creative play calling, and he reminded all of us that indeed football is a game and meant to be shared and enjoyed. Rich Nowak is coaching this evening. Mike Glazer, we're fortunate to have him with us. They both matriculated to our staff after established and successful careers as high school head coaches. Brought so much to the table during their coaching years with us. Greg Debelak, another record-setting player as a quarterback at JCU, was a graduate assistant at the time. Greg has established a remarkable career of his own over the years as the head coach of Case Western University. Good luck tomorrow, Cal. Tim Reardon, retired teacher, counselor, and head coach at Maple Heights, told me daily upon arrival at practice he couldn't wait for tomorrow because he got better looking every day. Definitive definition of a player's coach. Our players loved and respected him. Also, the self-anointed maker of all Americans, and that's via JT, Timothy. Former head coach at John Carroll University, Regis Scaife, exited John Carroll University as the longest tenured head coach in the history of John Carroll football. Spent a major part of his career at JCU. 88 victories placed him within striking distance of being the winningest coach at John Carroll. Was the first JCU coach to lead his team to the NCAA Final Four, and in the process had a record season 12 victories. Following his exit from John Carroll University, he finished his head coaching career at Thomas College in Kentucky, Thomas More College in Kentucky, with a record of 26-7, 2 consecutive conference titles, and 2 playoff appearances. It has been daunting for me to stand before you this evening in Coach D's stead. This should have been his moment. As so many others, he changed my life through his guidance, inspiration, and direction. Thank you, Coach. I'd like to welcome to the podium our former captain, number 53, Dave Rousseau.
You guys, I thought we'd get a little bit louder applause. We're in, guys, 1989. Yeah, 30 years. We got it. Whoever did this, I appreciate it, you guys, I really do. It means more to me than anything. Who actually put the picture in? Bruce? Ayani? Fulco. Frankie. You're gonna get more airtime tonight, buddy. Now, Mike, I know you talk. Congratulations to all the other fellow inductees. Mike, you see a lot of airtime. So I got the long version here, you guys. I got the short version. What do you guys want to hear? I got 8 pages to read. I will try to speed it up. I am Dave Rastoka, and I am honored to be here. Honored to be the co-captain along with Jimmy Mitchell, Stevie Prelock, and Joey Bain of the 1989 team. We are so grateful to be inducted, and thank you to the Blue and Gold Club and to John Carroll University and John Carroll Athletics. Shout out to Dana Funyak and Michelle Morgan for putting this on. You guys did a fantastic job. I can only imagine what it takes to pull something like this off. Coach talked about the 1987 and 88-89 teams. And back in 1986, Coach mentioned we had 2-7 season. And it was a combination of the 87 and 88 teams to lead to that 89 season. That was very memorable for all of us. To put things in perspective, we had 11 years of tough seasons. We only had 2 winning seasons. From 1974 to 1987, there's only 2 winning seasons, and they went 5-4. So 87 comes along, Coach DiCarlo leading us. 87, 88, 89, we broke 45 records. I had the 1995 media guide. God knows how I got it. I went through them, but those 3 teams in those 3 years, we broke 45 records, you guys. It's pretty remarkable. 1987, a new beginning. Expectations were high, and losing was not an option. Conference championship, national championship, that was the expectation, nothing less. Coach rolled out the new uniforms. He rolled out our traveling gear that we have today, the blue blazers, the golden striped ties, the khaki pants, and we felt like champions. We went 5-4 that year, and our biggest game came against Baldwin Wallace, and it was dubbed the game. In 1986, BW beat us 35-10. 1986. 1 year later, the game. We had an amazing game, and we end up winning the game 10-3, almost with the same exact guys. So that was definitely the signature win in 1987. But another important event happened in 1987. It was called the Cafe Rock, our local watering hole. We had a guy that owned this bar named Barry Jackson. I tried to get a hold of him. I tried to get him here. But he basically turned the Cafe Rock into a John Carroll institution. There was tons of sports memorabilia, a lot of football stuff, and it was absolutely amazing. And the crazy thing is, he would get a camcorder, and he'd be up in the stands, these huge 1987 camcorders, and he'd film the games. Then he'd take that VHS tape, go to the bar, pop it into TV, we would shower and come and watch the game that we just played in his bar. It was absolutely crazy, and looking back on it, it was a once-in-a-lifetime happening. 1988, we started hitting our stride. We had a big win against our cross-time rival, Case Western Reserve, Debs. He wasn't there, but he's the coach there now. 27-10. The other big win came against Carnegie Mellon. It was 24-7, another milestone victory. From 1974 to 1987, 13 years, we only beaten Carnegie Mellon twice. In 87, we beat them 24-7. And I remember that game like it was yesterday, and the guys that were in that game in 1988, it was a really hot day, and we were dying. It was really the end of the first quarter, but we never played on AstroTurf back in 87. And it was a really hard turf, and the heat was just coming up from that turf, so we were exhausted. So Tony DiCarlo Jr., co-captain 88, and all the guys in the team were like, Stokes, call a timeout, call a timeout. It's like the first quarter, and we were dying. And I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna go tell Coach DiCarlo we're calling a timeout. He's like, why'd you call a timeout? Because we were really tired, Coach. He would kill me. So in my mind, I'm thinking it's better for all of us to die of heat stroke than me to go face Coach DiCarlo and his wrath. Another thing happened in 98, and talking about Coach and his perfectionist, and he was such an intense guy, and he was so organized. Every Friday we'd come out and do special teams. And all of us got along so well, we were always talking and screwing around the sideline. So we called field goal team or kickoff team. It was always someone not paying attention, and someone wouldn't be on the team. Someone wouldn't come out. So Tony Jr., DeCarlo Jr., he comes to us on a Friday practice. Before the practice, he said, Stokes, everybody get over here. I don't want my dad to blow a gasket today. Can you guys please pay attention? Just focus. So when he calls out special teams, everyone pay attention and get out there. So sure enough, they call the punt team. Punt team! Coach yells, punt team! 10 guys go out there. 1 guy's missing. Coach Eller, the special team coach, is next to Coach DeCarlo, and Coach DeCarlo's like, God dang it, who's not out here? And Coach Eller goes, it's your son, Coach. Tony wasn't paying attention. He had to run out there, put his helmet on, run past his dad, and we thought he was gonna get the big size 12 foot right up his butt, but it didn't happen. On to 1989. I'm trying to go quick, you guys. It has been 30 years, but I can still smell the odor and the old locker room with the sweaty shoulder pads and the big fans blowing. The room's right next door to us. 30 years, and I can still hear the sounds of the football cleats clicking across Bellevue Boulevard. And I can still hear Coach's booming voice across the practice field going, PMA, PMA, positive mental attitude. I was thinking about the game, and I was thinking in particular, a football play. A football play lasts about 4 to 12 seconds. And during that play, 3 things can happen. You can be a hero, you can get embarrassed or beaten on the play, or 3, you can be a non-factor in the play. But the best part of the game is you get to do it all over again the very next play. You can redeem yourself, maybe even be that hero. And the main goal in every game is to put together several good plays in a row, so in hopes of getting a victory. And if you think about it, it's sort of like life. Life is full of good moments and bad moments. And the goal and the hope is that you put as many good moments together as possible. And that's exactly what we did in 1989. To take you back to 1989, gas was $1. Glamour rock was the new sound with bands like Poison, Wonky's favorite, Motley Crue, Bon Jovi. You go to any bar, and you can hear Funky Cold Medina by Tone Loc. And yes, even the Rolling Stones came out with their 27th album that year called Steel Wheels. It was the year that the Berlin Wall came down, and the best part of 1989, none of us owned a cell phone. And if you knew our guys, that was a really good thing. You see, that 1989, we knew it was our year. Many people didn't know this fact, but the 1989 season, Wasmer Field was under construction. They were laying the new AstroTurf, and all of our home games were played at Brush High School. And it was the year that we entered into the OAC conference. We were playing with the big boys, the Mount Unions, the Ohio Northerns, the Marietta, the Muskingums. And we also had several new faces on the team. One of them, our quarterback, Larry Wonky, transferred from the University of Pittsburgh. I personally did not know Larry prior to him joining the team, but I heard the stories. I heard about his arm strength and that he had a magnetic personality. I soon found out after knowing Larry for 2 months that only one of those was true. Larry had a really strong arm. That is funny. I was writing that and I was laughing. I was like, this is good. But Larry, he graduated in 2 years. Wonk broke 16 records. In 2 years, he broke 16 records. He pretty much broke every John Carroll passing record there was. I never seen anyone throw a ball like Larry, it was truly poetic. We also added another talented running back to an already stellar group. We had co-captain and all OAC Steve Prelock, who already had several records on his own. Then we had John Minke, who made it tonight, a tough all-purpose back out of Lake Catholic. And then came Willie Beers, AKA Chili Willie. Willie transferred from Kent State with a lot of persuasion from myself and Coach D, and Willie finally committed to JCU, and thank God he did. He's a Hall of Famer. His number 27 jersey is retired, and he went on to lead the OAC in yardage with close to 4,400 yards. Willie was a tough, hard-nosed kid that never backed down from anyone. You gotta be the football player starting to cry. Soccer players, and then I'm like the big tough guy. What's up with that? I just love Willie. Like Steve, they were hard-nosed. They both had a lower body strength. They were hard to tackle. And then we had Frankie Fulco, tough kid out of Chicago, who only knew north and south. Ray Lowe, a great blocking back that protected Larry. Our receiving core and offensive line was stacked. Petey Angolia caught everything. No one remembers Petey ever dropping a ball, even in practice. Bruce Saban, so elusive, quick, and dangerous in the open field. And all OAC Hank DeRica. Hank broke 9 individual school records before he graduated. He was amazing. He basically rewrote the record book. He was fearless, athletic. He was a thrill to watch, just from watching from the sidelines, full of grace. Then we had Gary Name, the one-handed wonder, which I'll talk about later. Gary was so inspirational, determined, and dedicated to our goals and our team, and he really had one of the greatest plays of our season. Rich Nowak was our tight end with Phil Technip, and then our offensive line was just loaded. We had Pat Murphy, a Hall of Famer, all OAC, anchored our O-line. We had guard Matt Jolly, our center, all OAC, Sean Robinson, who's here today. Mike Court, AKA Big Daddy, AKA Chief, and Anton Tagazic were offensive tackles. And these guys, the offensive tackles, were unbelievable. They were the best in the OAC, hands down. I mentioned all those 45 records. Anyone knows the game, you got to have a really good offensive line. And most of those records were offensive records. Our kicking game, Ryan Haley, Steve Greka, who's here today. How lucky we were to have Steve and Ryan on our team. Both Ryan and Steve broke every single kicking record before Dave Littleton broke his. But they were just absolutely amazing. Ryan Haley led the nation punting with 42-yard average. Our coaching staff, Coach Nowak, Coach Dolciato, Debs, you guys were fantastic. And the reason why we broke all those points is because we had unbelievable coaches, all those records. On the defense, what amazing coaches we had on defense. Coach Scaife, Coach Volkman, Coach Glazer, Coach Reardon. Thank you so much for pushing all of us, challenging us, turning us into men. They had the right combination of fun, but you didn't want to push their buttons because they put you right back in your place. They held us accountable and pushed us to be great because they knew in 1989 what potential we had. We had co-captain, all OAC Jimmy Mitchell and Kirk Gabram. They're not here tonight, so they're going to get less airtime. But Mitch was a linebacker playing strong safety from Benedictine, and Gaves was probably one of our most gifted athletes along Pat Dixon. If Gaves was a Walmart shopper, he would be at the customer service line complaining every single day. Let's just say Gabe's favorite line, and his wife and his mom is here, is "that's bullshit." He said it about everything. If his socks were kind of sagging, or if it was raining outside, we had to go practice, that's bullshit. Keith Barber was our super sophomore. He made several key plays during the season, and Jim Tompkins was the other cornerback. Both these guys were just steady, solid players. John Reale rotated into games, a hard-hitting kid from Benedictine. Senior Bruce Ianni was an amazing teammate, person, and a hell of an athlete. Brad Windler also helped us out in the back end. The D-line was anchored by OAC co-captain Joey Bayman, Isaiah Ignatius, and another pound-for-pound tremendous athlete was Pat Dixon. Pat, we should be here tonight, but we tragically lost him to cancer 2 years ago. Dix was definitely his own man and marched to his own beat. My first memory of Dix was his long red hair. Dix had this long red hair coming out of his helmet, and his nickname was Jesus. So, Coach DiCarlo, being the true disciplinarian, told Pat, "You're not going to play on this team unless you cut your hair so it doesn't hang out of his helmet." So Pat was going to quit the team. So thank God Coach Volkman stepped in and he said, Pat, are you really going to let 6 inches of hair stop you from doing what you love? So in typical Pat Dixon style, he comes with a shaved head, basically telling him, I'm still going to do it my way. We love you, Dix. We miss you. And we wish you were here. D-line, Timmy Jewett transferred from Youngstown State. He was a huge addition to our already strong unit. He was a strong kid, low center of gravity. He was just a solid block in there. Brian Cochran was our All-American, JCU Hall of Famer nose guard. The force up the middle made my job a lot easier. Then we had Ronnie Dolciato, Dr. Dolciano. Smartest kid on a team, academic All-American, but he was the old man of the group. I actually think Dulce was like 30 years old when he played in 1989. But Ronnie always had money on him. And we were all poor college kids. But Chick owned Utilities Construction, and Ronnie, we would just constantly borrow money off of him. Thinking that we keep saying, well, we're going to pay you back one day. And we've never paid him back. He was Mr. Consistent. He was smart, quick off the ball. He was just a great teammate, and I love him to death. And then we had Jimmy Flynn. On to the linebackers. I'm kidding, Jimmy. I thought more people were going to laugh at that one. Jimmy was another super sophomore, and he was just amazing. He was in front of me, and his job, Coach Reardon said, just keep everybody off of Bristoka. And Jimmy did that, except for the Dayton game. But other than that, Jimmy, you were a hell of a player. My counterpart, Tom Moose Mylott. I think he's got like 50 people here tonight. You got this whole side of the gym is Moose. Yeah. You can always pick out Moose at practice because Moose had a beet red neck. He had very fair skin. Just wave everybody, Moose. And he was like a lobster man. He never put on any sunscreen. I don't think they had it back then. And his neck was always just beet red. But if his neck wasn't red and you had to find him, he was the guy with all the cold towels over his head because he was always ready to die of heat stroke. Don was just constantly cooling him off. In all seriousness, Moose was a solid player. He played beside me, and I was honored to have you next to me, Moose. Then there was Tommy Gibbons, Gibby. He was an intense kid, came from Lake Catholic High School, my alma mater. He played a big role in Marietta when Moose, I think he got hurt that game or something, and Tommy came in. Actually, he got pulled. It was that counter back, Moose, and we're like, Gibby! Moose had to run out. But we ended up winning, so it was good. Our scout teams, I got all you guys listed, but it's late. Can all the scout guys just stand up really quick? I just got to acknowledge all of you guys. The Colemans, the Rex Ralstons, the Jimmy Robidoux, all these guys, all right? I'm just going to tell you, these freshmen, these sophomores, I don't know if we appreciate you guys enough. These guys ran the scout team. They ran the other plays of the teams that were going to play, and they were outstanding. And you guys made us better. So I am so glad that you guys are here, and I wish we probably would have treated you a little bit better. But I know, because they're always the underclassmen, but you realize, and Coach Fanati would attest to this, that how important it is that on the underclassmen to keep them engaged and keep them happy so they don't go home. So thank you guys for sticking it out. To Donnie Mack, to Chris Wenzer, Julie Delpias, and John DeSillo, who smiled from his heart, who I love dearly, and my little brother Joe, ball boy. You made it, Joe. He was probably the best ball boy in the country that year, Joe. Glad you're here. He was 10 years old when we were playing. We never went without you guys. We had, whether it was tape, a mouth guard, a piece of equipment, we bugged Don all the time. And you guys were fantastic. And looking back on it, what a stellar group of people. Wenzer and Julie, every article in the paper, even the Carroll News. It was just truly amazing, and we appreciate it. Okay, on to the 89 season, finally. Okay, highlights of that year. We started the game on September 2nd, 1989, 30 years ago, against the University of Buffalo. If you're a Cleveland sports fan, you know that the Browns had the drive, they had the fumble, But in 1989, the John Carroll football team, we had the catch. Gary Name had a broken hand. Late in the game, we're down 14-15 with 2 minutes to go. Larry Wonky, our quarterback, is in the middle of the field, and he notices that no one is covering Gary. He's wide open. And he's got one hand. He's got a cast on the other hand. I have no idea why we didn't. I mean, Gary, it was amazing that you did that. I mean, to catch the ball away. So Larry looked off the safety, and he throws it to Gary. Gary catches it, but Gary's got to run like 30 yards to get in the end zone. And this safety starts beating down on him. And we're like, run, Gary, run! And it seemed like the play was in slow motion, but then we realized it was just Gary in slow motion. He was running like he had leg braces on, you know, it's like go Forrest run, that's where the nickname came from. But he made it. With one hand, he catches the ball, and that safety almost catch him, but he gets in there, and we end up winning the game 20-15. Thank God for Keith Barber, who intercepted a pass on the 50-yard line because they started driving on us. On September 30th, 1989, we traveled down to Marietta, who was 3-1 at the time. It was a night game, and the lighting was really poor, and it was like a cow pasture. I mean, the whole town came out for this game. It was a huge game. I think there was like 7,000 or 8,000 people, standing room only, but the lights were just so dingy. It was a hard-fought game. The week before, we had a little minor indiscretion with a 1979 Trans Am, but we made it through, you guys. We pulled together, and it really tested us, and it tested our love for each other. We won that game 13-10, thanks to Steve Greca's 2 field goals in the third quarter. Then came the game, the Mount Union game. We were 8-0 going into that game on November 4th, 1989. It was home, so it was at Brush High School. And I have such vivid memories of that game. Coach Volkman gave an amazing speech. You guys remember his speech before that game? Holy crap. He got us all riled up. And then we had to walk out for the coin toss. So it was me, Stevie Prelock, Jimmy Mitchell, Joey Bain. And I can remember going out there. And now in 1986, I can literally turn and pick my mom and dad out in the stands. I mean, there was maybe 100, 150 people there. So now fast forward to 1989, I think we had probably 8,000 people in that stadium. It was rocking. And I remember coming around the corner, and our whole fans just went crazy, and our basketball team dressed up as cheerleaders, which was awesome, our men's basketball team. And everyone was going nuts. And Coach DeCarlo said to me, he goes, I don't care what happens from here on out, you guys will never, ever forget this moment as long as you live, and I never have. And then the purple side was just booing like crazy. But what a game it was. The first half, it was hard fought. It was 7-7. And then in the third quarter, you know, we had the catch, we had the game, and then we had the hit. Joey Bain put a delicious hit on Mount Union's quarterback, Brad Petro. He just completely took his head off, and he recovered the fumble. You know, that turned the game around. That was a turning point. And they basically got punched in the mouth, and then we went on to win 31-7, claiming the OAC outright. Wonk put on an aerial show. Bruce, Willie, Pre, Hank, Petey, our offensive line was truly outstanding. And the fans were there to watch it, so it was amazing. And our defense held Mount Union to only 80 passing yards and 14 first downs. So we finished the season 9-2. And like I stated earlier, 45 records were broken. We raised the bar. We established a new legacy, a new standard for John Carroll football. Like Wen said, first team to win 9 games in the season, first team to go to the playoffs, first team to beat Mount Union, first team to win the OAC. All that was great. But what was even more great is the long-lasting friendships that we created during our time together, the love that we had for one another, the love of the game and the respect we had for our coaches is what made those years and our time at John Carroll so special. Everything that we went through together, guys, the grueling double sessions, the muscle aches, the countless hours of film watching, the off-season workouts, the losses, the victories, so much time is committed to this game to become a true champion. And all of us, including the coaches, invested everything they had so we can achieve that goal. It takes a true team atmosphere and a collective effort to become a champion. It's coaches and it's also administration. You know, getting kids in the school are so important. And working with the admissions. To Coach DeCarlo, you changed all of our lives and how we thought about ourselves. Coach, you made us a first-class program with a first-class mindset. By the time we were seniors, we truly felt that no one can beat us. We didn't feel that in 1986. We fought to the end during every single game, which was a testament to your fighting spirit. We carry on your life lessons with us every single day, doing things the right way, never taking shortcuts, believing in ourselves, and working harder than anyone else. Those are all the life lessons you taught us, and all because of this, you had such a great influence on our lives. We love you, Coach, and we thank you. In closing, I'm a firm believer that when you are looking back at your life, your final days are near, the number of friends you have compared to the number of dollars that you have in your bank account is far more important. The number of lives you impact, the number of good gestures you bestow on your fellow man, and being part of something bigger than yourself all determines, in my opinion, if you really live life to the fullest. Well, tonight, I stand in front of all of you today, and I can say with confidence that my life has been so fulfilled because of all of my fellow teammates, classmates, teachers, and coaches that I met at my time here at John Carroll. I am not who I am without this school and with all of you. My fellow brothers, I love you guys at the bottom of my heart. Onward on, go Blue Streaks. Thank you so much. Thanks.
As we begin to conclude this evening, I'd like to welcome back our athletic director, Michelle Morgan, for a few words.
Over the last 100 years, John Carroll University Athletics has been built on 4 C's: character, community, commitment, and competitiveness. On March 14th, 2020, we'll host a gala dinner that celebrates the 100 years of athletics and highlighting the stories from those 4 C's. For our final presentation this evening, I'm going to ask a colleague, Mike Scanlon, to join me up here to talk about an individual who embodies these characteristics every single day.
Thanks, Michelle. Now for something that wasn't in your program this evening. My name is Mike Scanlon, and I'm the Executive Director of Strategic Communications at John Carroll University. I graduated from John Carroll in 2006, with a degree in communications. My wife graduated in 2005, and she was a member of the women's soccer team. She's not yet in the Hall of Fame, but I will be advocating for her in future years. But tonight I'm here to highlight the most influential part of my John Carroll experience, interning for the Sports Information Department. Before I returned to our alma mater in January, I spent more than a decade working in professional sports. At the Buffalo Bills, the LPGA, and sports agency IMG, I was fortunate to travel the world, work with athletes, run events, and consult for brands. But my career path would not have been possible without Chris Wenzel. Make no mistake, I stand here tonight as a representative of the John Carroll University students and student athletes who Chris has been a mentor for. His work ethic and leadership by example have been on full display for 30 years at John Carroll. His selfless attitude is contagious. No job is beneath him. Chris has held us accountable. For those of us who worked for him, he set us up to succeed while also giving us room to fail. He took a genuine interest in our lives. For me, he nurtured a love for everything that goes on behind the scenes in sports. he quietly guided me into a decision that would shape my career. Chris probably remembers all of his student employees, but my best guess is that at least 500 students have worked for him, maybe more. They all count him as a mentor, as many in this room do as well. To us, he's a friend, a therapist, a confidant, an advocate, a cheerleader. He was and is the ultimate example of living the mission through his service to the John Carroll community, his participation in 9 immersion trips, and his commitment to leading us and teaching us. Chris has provided 3 decades of John Carroll students with an example to live by. He continues to teach us all a lesson as he openly grapples with his cancer diagnosis and ongoing treatment. In spite of his health, the quality of his work, and his full-fledged support of John Carroll athletics has never waned. In the sports information department, it's not about personal accolades. It's only about the advancement of others, including all of our Hall of Fame inductees tonight. In many ways, Wenz's work over the last 30 years has truly mirrored the mission of the university itself. And he'll be the first one to tell you that the game recap on a Wednesday night in the middle of the winter might be the first thing that a recruit reads about John Carroll. Or that Saturday afternoon webcast that maybe only a few people are watching might be a parent's only chance to follow their child's game. But to succeed in Chris's office, you have to be ready to do everything. And that's his mentality. And he learned the value of hard work early from his parents, Marty and Sue, who we tried to keep as a surprise, but he saw earlier, and they're here tonight. And his lasting legacy at John Carroll, in my opinion, beyond the work he continues to do, will be the unique community that he has built around him. Because when you work for Sports Info, you become part of a family, and not just the Sports Info family. You actually become part of the Wenzler family, and they're all here tonight to support you. You meet his wife, Melissa, and his children, Madeline and Oliver, who were considerably younger the last time I saw them. You spend time at his house, and by God, do you play whirly ball. Tonight, we honor Chris's professional contributions to John Carroll University, but for me, for many of us in this room, and for the thousands, truly, the thousands of Wenzler's warriors across the world, tonight is about more than our sports information director. It's about a man of faith, integrity, service, selflessness, and a genuine love for others. It's about the mentor who believed in us. So Chris, before I finish, I'd like to invite your family, who are all here, to join me on stage to help. If you would join right now, folks. We've got Marty and Sue, his parents, Melissa, Oliver, Madeline, and some extended family. So Chris Wenzler, in recognition of your 3 decades of selfless service to John Carroll, in appreciation of the countless hours you've spent advocating for our student athletes, coaches, and teams, in admiration of your service to JCU, to Cleveland, and to the world, and for your selfless devotion to the advancement of Blue Streak athletics, it's an honor and a great privilege for me to welcome you to the John Carroll Athletic Hall of Fame.
They had to trick me. I wouldn't have accepted it any other way, so they knew how to get to me. So well, I'm very, very honored. I have nothing at all prepared, so I don't have this on my script, so I don't know what to say. But it's been a great 30-year run here at John Carroll. I remember when I graduated, I figured I would never come back, and then I came back 3 months later, and I've never left. But John Carroll brought me a lot of great things. First of all, it allowed me to meet my wife, who I knew during my undergrad days, but thought nothing of. Apparently, she thought nothing of me. We only met because I met her in the dining hall when they used to have the Pizza Hut, for those that remember that, you know. The first week on the job, I saw her sitting there, so I asked if I could have lunch with her. So that's how that happened. So thank you, John Carroll. You know, certainly my dad was a 1964 grad of John Carroll, so that's how I found it in the first place. Class of 64, all right? And I almost didn't come here because of that, but because I figured, oh, everyone would know my dad, and it turned out only Doc Carpenter knew my dad. So that was no one else seemed to know him. So I said, okay, we're safe here. You know, I certainly want to thank my mom for also being here, all my family that's here tonight. A lot of surprises in this group. There's people here from Michigan and Pennsylvania and things like that. So that has totally changed my weekend. Now I'm going to have to figure out how to work family in and everything that we got going on. But it's I'm blown away, honestly. I love doing what I do, and one of the great aspects of this job is that I've been able to keep in touch with a lot of people in this room. And when I was putting together the 1989 football story, it just brought back a lot of great memories of people that I have, you know, seen time and again through the years pop back on campus. Some need to come back more than they do. I'm just going to throw that out there. I know when you're on the west side, it's like you need a passport to come to the east side. You know, so it's like you have to have a reason to come. So hopefully we'll see more of you come to campus in the future. But I want to thank Michelle and Mike and anyone else who was involved with this. I'm very honored. I'm struggling with words right now, and that's usually not a problem for me. But thank you very much, and that's how I'll conclude. Thank you. I do have one more thing I have to say, but not about me. We thank the Aramark staff for the dinner tonight and their service, so we can give them a round of applause. And a big thank you also to all those who helped organize this dinner, Dana Funyak and you know, Candace Pluhar helping this out. And really want to thank all of you for being here. This is a ceremony that is nothing without having witnesses to this. And so thank you for being witnesses to such a great event, great inductees, a great team, and it's going to be a great homecoming weekend here at John Carroll. So please enjoy yourselves. This concludes the formal portion of the 2019 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Have a great homecoming weekend. Thank you.